Good morning, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome, one and all. Good morning again from Vancouver and Toronto, Canada. It is 8 a.m. currently in Vancouver, and where Zav is located in Toronto, it is currently 11 a.m., I
That's
believe. So we are super excited to be starting our day with you all. I know we have several folks today joining in from all over the world. So please do share in the chat where you're joining from. I see we have someone from Pakistan. Welcome and hello. We also have two questions in the poll. On your very right, there should be a poll with two questions. One being, are you joining us today as, are you an entrepreneur? Or are you a RCIC, which is an acronym for Registered Canadian Immigrant Consultant? And then the second question after that is, if you are an entrepreneur, what stage is your business in? Would also love to see if you are an entrepreneur, please share your LinkedIn or your company website or anything in the chat. We'd love to get to know you a little bit. So just leaving maybe 5 more seconds or so to have you all put your information in the chat and answer the polls. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and would love to see who is in the room with us today. So we have an entrepreneur that is in revenue generating. So please do engage with us in the chat, and it'll help us sort of tailor a little bit of our language and presentation today. So lovely again to have you all share your time with us today. So a little bit on a rundown on the flow of our presentation today. So I'll do a little bit of a quick brief on the Startup Visa program and a little bit about Spring as a designated entity. And then we have the lovely Zav over here who will speak a little bit about the Spring Impact Startup Visa program, a good example of what a due diligence or an application looks like. And then we are going to leave some room for Q&A if you all have any questions. So with that being said, I will start sharing my screen. Here we go. So just a little bit about myself. I am Lorene Katubai, a program associate at Spring's Impact Startup Visa program, also known as ISV program. You'll be hearing that acronym a lot. So I support the operations and back end of the program with the amazing team at Spring. So this means that if you apply for the program or join the program, I will most likely be your main point of contact throughout the process. And a little bit about myself personally. I am Filipino, but I was born and raised in Hong Kong. I've been fortunate enough to live in Seattle, Shanghai, and Vancouver. So also I have been in Canada for 5 years now as a permanent resident, and just recently I have been a Canadian citizen. So having lived in a few countries, I totally understand what it feels like to navigate the immigration process, as well as undergo the joys and challenges of moving to a different country. So I'm super passionate about business impact strategy, community development, and creating a pathway to a world that is more purposeful and sustainable and is inclusive to all people. So this combination of my personal journey and my professional interests is what drives my passion in working at Spring with entrepreneurs and RCICs like yourself who aim to make the world a better place through the very act of conducting your business. So now that you know a little bit about me, let's move on to what exactly is a Startup Visa program? In the shortest explanation possible, and just a couple words, it is an immigration pathway to Canada. So Canada's Startup Visa allows foreign entrepreneurs to obtain permanent residence in Canada through business immigration. So owners of an innovative startup or established foreign company may be able to use this program as a pathway to permanently relocate to Canada, along with founding members, up to 5, provided that they meet all the requirements for the Startup Visa program. So a little bit of a background. Canada's Startup Visa Program was actually a 5-year pilot program that then became a permanent program in 2018. So the whole idea behind this program is to recruit innovative immigrant entrepreneurs to foster economic growth in Canada. So if you check the IRCC, another big acronym, Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship of Canada website, there are over 50 business incubators supporting startups through this process. So what makes Spring different from these 50 others? So here in the slides, some of you may have already spotted or heard it in the earlier slides between ISV and SUV, and it's also up here in bold. The key word is impact. So here are also 4 different points that differentiate Spring from all the others. The first one being, as I mentioned, the SUV program became permanent in 2018, and Spring became a designated entity in 2017. So being one of the first incubators to become an IRCC designated entity, Spring entered the SUV space at a very early age and also gained deep knowledge and experience on how this program works. Number 2, we call our program Impact Startup Visa because we are the only designated organization in Canada that helps entrepreneurs want to make the world a better place through their business ventures. And this doesn't necessarily mean that your company has to be just environmentally focused. It also seeks to create social impact through products or operations. So this could sort of look like, diversity in the workplace, sustainable practices, balancing profit and purpose in how you run your business, or whatever that may look like, however you define it. We're here to help coach these businesses on how they scale that impact as well. So number 3, if you've had the opportunity to go through our website, you will see a very diverse team across multiple provinces and also across the world. We are ready to support your transition into Canada in whatever province you decide to settle in. Our network also extends beyond our team as we work with many global communities. And last but not least, on what sets us apart, we are impact focused. While we are impact focused, we do welcome entrepreneurs from all industries, whether that is food and beverage, health tech, agri-tech, clean tech, all the different types of tech, consulting, education, and consumer packaged goods, all of the above are welcome as long as you have impact in mind. So Spring's Startup Visa program is cohort-based, which Zav will tell you a little bit more about, because we believe in the value of peer learning and also the importance of networking and building a community, especially as you're moving your business to a different country. To date, we have graduated 18 cohorts supporting over 300 immigrant entrepreneurs over the last 6 years. Our Impact Startup Visa alumni represents over 30 countries, some being in Asia, Africa, South America, Europe, and also the Middle East. Our Spring team values feedback, and we believe in continuous improvement. We ask our participants from every cohort whether they could recommend it to evaluate and whether they could recommend it to others, being the Net Promoter Score. And our NPS, Net Promoter Score, consistently averages over 90% or above. So we're very proud of running a high quality program with high personal touch for each applicant. So that brings me to the end of the SUV program and Spring as a company. If you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A section, which you will find at the right column of your screen. It will have that icon as you see on the screen, just a little box with a question mark. We will get to them towards the end. So now that you know a little bit about me, if you have any questions, put them in. I'd love to welcome our wonderful program manager, Zav, to tell you a little bit more about the intricacies of our program.
Thank you, Laureen. Happy to be here. As Laureen shared, I'm Zav for short, or Zavosh, and I've been program manager here at Spring, managing the Impact Startup Visa General Program. There's a lot happening behind the scene that most people don't see. All the amazing work that Laureen and Dill and our wonderful team do to make sure the program runs smoothly. But I'm gonna focus a little bit today on our programming, share more about what a successful applicant would look like, what we consider when we do our due diligence to find the right fit for our program. And we're going to also look at some of the topics that we covered during those 3 months together. Without further ado, actually, maybe I'll share a little bit more on my background and then we'll jump right in. So I've been an entrepreneur for quite some time. It's been about 15 plus years and managed different types of projects and startups in a few different sectors. I started in media technology. I got into financial technology, FinTech, e-commerce, and then transition over to the venture capital world. But I've had my hands in Web3 companies, one deep tech project, as well as, in the umbrella of Web3. Now we hear a lot of new companies that incorporate machine learning and AI. So I pull from those experiences to support founders when we work together in the program. Now we can go to the next slide, please. Yeah, what does a successful application look like? So Spring gets thousands of applications every year, literally, and we only accept a handful per cohort to, make sure that it's the right quality of application, that they're going to be, successful in the process of immigrating to Canada. So there's a lot that goes into that, and it all starts with a good, well-crafted application that captures all the great work that you're going to be doing with your company. And there are different types of companies when usually applying to the startup visa program. There are those that are early stage, where you're in ideation, prototyping, you haven't really, maybe launched yet, and that's okay. Part of this program, you're able to do that as long as you can track your progress, you're on top of what you're doing, and you can communicate those back to other stakeholders, including Spring, advisors, and even IRCC down the road when they need to see what the urgency is for you to come to Canada and what are you going to do with your business. And then there are a little bit later stage companies that already have traction, that already have users, that have revenue. They're also able to bring their business to Canada or launch in Canada, and we help both of those types of companies succeed, because majority of what you need to know as you integrate in a new society, as you learn to transition, there are cultural differences, there are business techniques that you might not be familiar with, different frameworks that you can apply to your business. So all of those things we've thought about, and we've made sure that in our work with different clients, we are able to support them and help them reach their milestones. So now I'm going to ask Laureen to maybe stop sharing for a second, and I'm going to show an example of what a successful application looks like. Let's try that. And this is important because if you see it, it will help you get a better idea of what you need to prepare for before you apply. So I think now you should be able to see my screen. Yeah, okay. Perfect. Thank you, Laureen. So it all starts with, the current stage, like we talked about. You can, share if you've reached market entry, if you're still in ideation, or if you've launched. So in this particular, this is a company called Reviva Green, and it's important to mention Spring works with impact companies. So impact is really important to us beyond just making profit. How are you going to make the world a better place? How are you helping the society, the environment? So there could be social impact, could be environmental impact, all of those things are important to take note of when you apply, and make sure you know how it's aligned to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So all those things help you strengthen your application. But in this particular case, you can see that this application has a detailed description of what their business overview looks like, and they've done a competitive analysis, so they know who the other people in the market are, and then they talk about their impact metrics. So these are all important. Every question on our due diligence form is important. So if somebody just leaves it blank, or they say, I don't know, unfortunately, it will be very tough for them to make it to even interview stage or make it to the program, because of the level of competition that exists in terms of the number of applications we see, and we can only accept those that are high quality applications. And we do a lot of research and due diligence on each application to make sure they're viable, make sure their team are experienced, or they say who they say they are who they say they are. And in terms of the impact, we also care about that. So for example, founder information, this person, Janice, she leads the solutions from her background in environmental engineering. So that tells us that, okay, this person is an expert in her particular field, and with 10 years experience. So those are things that help us understand, okay, you've thought about the problem and the solution you're proposing, you have done enough research on the Canadian market to make sure that your company will be successful when you bring it to Canada, or you might have even visited Canada. You might have actually connected with Canadians and see that your business is really needed in this market. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide, but just want you to see that a successful application is very complete. So we care that your application is transparent, that it's complete, and that you communicate with us in a timely manner, so that we can also come back to you if we have other questions and go from there. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to take a look at some of the other stuff that we were just talking about. So what does the spring program look like? Now, let's say you successfully submitted your application and you went through our interview round, and
Can you make your slides bigger?
Yes, you can certainly do that. Thank you, Laureen. Let me get into slideshow.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot of written text and nobody can read it otherwise. So there's a lot that goes into our program. In those 3 months together, that's the live component. We get to work together twice a week. We will meet online. We have experts that speak to you on different topics. We're going to look at what those topics are, but we also bring in guest speakers from outside of our ecosystem, people that are also, most of them, immigrants, and they've done really well in different areas, whether it's marketing, whether it's sales. So all of you can actually connect with those folks. You can ask questions, you can start networking, build your community from even before coming to Canada. And we have a really active community in our Slack channel. For those of you who are not familiar, Slack is a more of a corporate social tool where we stay connected with each other and we build our communities that way. All of us at Spring use Slack as well. And once you make it to our program, you get to be part of that community. And if you graduate, when you graduate, then you will always be an alum of Spring, and you have lifetime access to our community, which is super valuable. And there are hundreds of other like-minded founders from all over the world who have already made it to Canada, and they're still active and managing their businesses. So it's a very exciting place to be in. And then we have the actual programming component, like I mentioned. But next year, we're also adding office hours. So you get to spend more time doing Q&As and really go deeper and bring in specific questions that we can help you with. And there's also another bonus added in the coming year where we provide downloadable templates related to each week's topic. Those are our key takeaways so that it makes your life a little bit easier. At least you can start with certain frameworks and templates if you don't know how to do that in any particular topic. And then besides the live support that you get from all of us from across Canada, we also provide mentorship, post-programming, and we've added $1 million in savings and perks starting in January. So that's also super exciting. If you're looking for, discounts on AWS, if you're looking for discounts on other tools, we're going to be sharing this with all our alum, as well as new members that join our upcoming cohorts. So what else? And yeah, of course, we always welcome our alumni in person. Like if anyone comes to Toronto, I'm always there, and we grab coffee or food, and we discuss we continue our discussions from where we leave off in the cohort to being in Canada in person. It's very different energy, and we're gonna also start having quarterly events with our new amazing community associate Fabiola, who some of you might have connected with, but there's going to be a lot of that happening in the coming year. How are we doing on time, Lorraine? Do I still have a couple minutes?
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. So these are the topics that I mentioned we'll share with you. So in the coming year for our general programming, it's really a fun journey. From the time you start, when we dive in, we're going to go through different topics to help you integrate better and help you adjust to the Canadian lifestyle. So the very first week of us starting our cohort, we're going to dive into welcoming you to the Canadian ecosystem. What does it look like to do business in Canada and different parts of Canada? There's a lot of stuff that we have different time zones, there are different types of activities in different parts of the country. So you learn all about that. And we work our way through different topics from team building to, more advanced entrepreneurship training and, pitching, which is a really, really big one because everything in Canada evolves around some kind of a pitch form. So you will learn about different types of pitching, you get to practice, and then we also help you become investment ready, or at least start thinking about it if that's what you're interested in. And ultimately, how are you going to manage your impact? How are you going to measure your impact? Those are all very specific types of lessons that you're gonna be able to take away and apply to not just the current business you're running, but in any future business down the road. So these are always well received by our participants, and they love the training component of a lot of the stuff that we quickly touched on. So to wrap things up, you can always connect with us on our website. You can connect with us on the socials, LinkedIn, Instagram. You can scan this barcode actually, and that'll take you right to the site. For ISV, it's important for the Impact Starter Visa interested people that are looking to apply to go through the instructions from the website step by step. It's meant to make things easier for you. If you just reach out and say, I need help, it's very general, and there's so much going on. We can't just do that for everybody. But if you apply and follow the instructions, provide as much detail as you can in your application, then we'll be able to support you better in that process. So I'm gonna stop there. Lorraine, sorry if I went over.
No, all good. You actually had another minute to spare.
Okay.
But Thank you very much, Zav, for sharing a little bit more about yourself and then also the um, Impact Startup Visa program at Spring. I love learning a little bit more about the day to day and what the weeks look like and what everyone can get out of it. Um, and also, what was not highlighted there, if I did not highlight enough, is Spring is very proud to say that our program managers in the past and current are all entrepreneurs themselves. And a majority of folks at Spring are also immigrant entrepreneurs. So you will be learning from people who have walked through the same steps and have gone through the same journey as you may all be facing today. So what a treat it is to have that opportunity. So jumping into the Q&A section, I know we've had some questions in the chat, but also in the specific Q&A little question area. So I'm just skimming through the chat really quickly. Oh, I see this, and it's from Milad. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. Apologies if I'm not. And the question is, can we start the program with one founder and then add others in the process? That is a very good question. And I would say it depends. It depends where you are in the process. So if you are still in the application process and you are invited to do an interview, I would say at that stage, that's a no. That's because similar as to the applicants, entrepreneurs who have IRCC requirements, Spring as a designated entity also has IRCC requirements that we have to follow. So in that case, as our process, we have to ensure that we are doing the due diligence as a designated entity. And part of that is ensuring that all applicants are capable, are knowledgeable, and are authentic team members as part of the business. So at that stage, before an interview, yes, you can add more team members. But once you're past the interview stage, definitely if you're part of the cohort stage, I'd say maybe I'll just stick to the interview stage for now. If you're at the interview stage, we do give you the opportunity to reapply and add the team members and their information before we proceed with your interview. And if you are past the interview stage and in the program stage, that is a no. And this is because at that stage, we would have already completed your paperwork, done our due diligence, given you access to, all the learning resources, given the time of our program managers to work with you. So that makes it a little bit trickier to just add people. Although on the other side, removing people from your team, that's okay. And this is because you're not adding someone that we have to re-review. You're just removing people. Hopefully that answers your question, Milad. I'm seeing some action in the chat. Let's see. Spring has already answered the question. Is the program a total of 12 weeks? Yes, that is. Zav, could you speak a little bit more maybe about the program? And then also post-program, what does that look like?
Absolutely. Thank you, Lorraine. Great question. So in live sessions, we have 12 weeks. But before you join the program, you're going to get to know our team. You're going to be doing paperwork with Lorraine, with our other Springers. And then when the program starts, we're going to go fully into learning mode for those 3 months. And when the program finishes, it's not the end of our friendship. So you become an alumni, and part of the alum community, you have access to it's lifetime access to our community. So we encourage everyone, you learn how to interact and make the most your time with the community, your networking, and essentially you got to continue that. And you have to still check in with us. You have to give us updates periodically so that IRCC knows that you're still continuing on your business. So it's really important to get used to that practice. And then you're going to get mentorship post-program. That's a dedicated mentor for a few hours that you can choose from a pool of our great mentors. Outside of that, if you need specific support again, you would use the community for that. You would share that, if you're looking for a salesperson in Canada, if you're looking to connect with a particular type of investor, we might know someone we can introduce. So those are all things that happen afterwards, and all the way to when you're in Canada and you're going to be part of our in-person Welcome to Canada events. So you get to meet other alum, you get to interact with newcomers that are now in the country. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, but there's a lot that goes into it. As well as one thing I forgot to mention, there's a learning portal, or LMS. So all members of your team, whether it's just you by yourself or if you have a team of 5 people, you get access to our learning portal for 2 years. So 2 years since the starting point of you joining the program, and all the resources, additional bonus material, all of that stuff will be there for you, plus the recordings of our sessions that are private. It's only for each cohort to access. So yeah, I even forgot about that.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it.
And again, I do want to highlight the learning resources have been created by serial entrepreneurs like Zav himself. So these are people who have the experience, who are giving you the very easy cheat sheet of how to make your business successful. So that in itself brings lots and lots of value. So moving on to our next question. What sectors and or industries are able to apply to the program? Zav, can I give that one to you?
Absolutely. So we are agnostic, and we're not focused on very specific types of sectors, but we are impact, which means your business has to be clearly addressing a problem that exists that you can help solve outside of just generating revenues. So what does that mean? A lot of people ask, like, what is impact? And we share more with you as you go through the process, and there's specific training, impact training on this when you're later in the program. But impact covers, like we said, environmental, social. Let's say your business is hiring people that were marginalized, or people with disabilities, and that they would otherwise not be able to find a good paying job, and you're planning to help that community, and it's embedded in your business model, right? So that would be creating a lot of great social impact. That's just one tiny example. And another type of impact is someone is, let's say, collecting plastic waste from the ocean, and they're creating shampoo bottles. So the more shampoo bottles they sell, they're cleaning the ocean, right? So that's an embedded example of impact. So we would prioritize impact businesses because it's in the name, Impact Startup Visa Program. And we encourage you, even if you're in payments, even if you're in e-commerce, there are ways you can create impact, but it has to be genuine, it has to be authentic. You have to actually explain, and we need to be able to tell that you mean it. It's not just because we told you. It's something you're committed to. Yeah, I think that should answer it. But other than that, we don't work with companies that are in illegal sectors. So if you're in, I don't know, selling certain types of chemicals or drugs or things like that, it's not something that we would accept.
Thank you, Zav. We have another question, and that is, what is the current processing time? So this is a very good question and a very important one, to say the least. Currently, the processing time is averaging at over 3 years. So given the backlog and number of applicants submitted, it can take a little bit longer. But I would also suggest, so the timing does fluctuate, and this is just because the government, they can choose to hire more people to go through applications, or as we had something called COVID that happened. So from that process, it created a backlog. I do suggest checking out the IRCC website, as there is a specific page that you can see how long the process is and averaging. I can definitely find a link and put it in the chat in a few. Hopefully that answers that question. Another one is, can I still apply and participate in the program if I have yet to establish my business or if I do not have a product? Over to you, Zav.
Okay, let's post the question on the screen again. Can you repeat it for me one more time?
There it is. Can I still apply and participate in the program if I have yet to establish my business or if I do not have a product?
Great question. Thank you. So this is a valid question. IRCC generally allows early stage companies. So what does that mean, early stage? Well, you need to have at least spent some time figuring out what your business would do in Canada. What does it look like? In what sector is it? Spend a little bit of time figuring out the strategy around it. When you apply to Spring, we don't expect you to have a complete business plan. We do expect you to be able to clearly explain yourself, answer all our questions in detail. So if you put 3 words and say, we ask you, what is the business idea? And you say, I don't have it, right? That's not putting you in a good position where we can help you. But if you had an idea, or you said, I'm working on, a solution in agriculture, and my solution would help farmers achieve XYZ, but it's still early, right? You haven't fully launched it, but you know what you're thinking of doing. And then if we read about your background and you happen to be a farmer yourself for 10 years, or you've had some kind of experience in that sector, those things would show that you're an expert in that field. Your idea is early, but you're committed, and you can show even the work that you've been doing. Maybe you attended certain seminars virtually in Canada. Maybe you connected to certain regulation bodies in Canada to understand how it works. So anything that shows you're actually committed and you're doing the work that you say you will do helps in the eyes of the government of Canada, and especially for us as well. But if you come to us and say, I don't have an idea, I don't have a business, I don't have anything, we can't hold your hand and come up with a business idea for you and that's not what we do. But if you start it and put everything together, then we can help you accelerate it or incubate it better.
Thank you for sharing that, Zav. So we will help as much as we can, but there are also limits on how much you can help yourself. Another question. Will there still be opportunities for in-person events once participants arrive in Canada?
Can you repeat it one more time? Sorry.
Of course.
Will
there still be opportunities for in-person events once participants arrive in Canada?
The short answer is yes, absolutely. Because not only we encourage you to attend other events, we share those in our community every month. When there's events happening, there are learning resources, there are other cross collaborations with other groups in our ecosystems. We always share. And that's exactly what we want you to do. Get out there and meet more people and attend these events. And in person is amazing. If you can, if you happen to be here, the energy of in-person events are a lot different than just virtual. Obviously, we would have loved to do this even in person, but that's not feasible. So, and we have our own events, spring events that we invite our community to. So yeah, definitely.
And then we have another question here. I'm going to put it up. We have a MVP and a great desire to implement our startup in Canada, but we have no clear and full business strategy yet. Where can we find help to develop a business plan and strategy in Canada? May be useful in advising.
Yeah, no, very good question. I put my LinkedIn in the chat for anyone who likes to connect, and we can take some of this offline and see. But in that position that you are, if you have an MVP and you have a great desire and everything else checks out to be okay, when you look at the requirements for the SUV program, if you meet the requirements, that's a great starting point. When you join the program, if you get through to actually becoming one of our participants, we will help you with exactly that. We will help you get a better sense of how to implement your business strategies. But when you apply, make sure to provide as much details in your application. If your application is not detailed, it's going to be hard to make it through to interview stage. So I think that's my best advice for everyone here. No matter how early you are, make sure you explain things. Don't use ChatGPT and just like put something, because if we read it and we know it's not written by a human, that's an instant rejection. If you do use other tools and resources and things online, that's fine, but put it in your own words, use your own tone, so we know it's a real person, because nobody likes bots. And then make sure also to not copy paste answers, right?
Mhm.
Each question is a different, unique question that we're asking you. So take your time and provide us an answer and make sure it's detailed. Did I cover that, Laureen, or is there anything you want to add?
You covered that perfectly. I guess one thing I will add is to keep a note, as you know, Zav is definitely telling us more information, more details about your business. And this is just because we don't know what we don't know about your business. You know your business best. So for us to be able to know your business, we want to know everything about it. And that is to provide, and how do we get there? Provide more information on how you run your business and what it's all about. Another question is, am I eligible to apply to the startup visa program if I am already in Canada? I can answer that one, and that is a big yes. So the startup visa is designed to support innovative entrepreneurs, both within and outside Canada, who want to start, move, or establish their business. So if you're currently in Canada under a temporary visa or are interested in obtaining permanent resident status, you can also do this through the Impact Startup Visa program. So if you already have the permanent residency, that's a no, of course, because you already have it. And then similarly with your citizenship, that's a no, because you're already a citizen. Another last question we have in the line here is, does Spring provide funding for the businesses accepted into the program?
So funding is not included. Part of the startup visa application, there are requirements by the Canadian government for every participant to show they're able to sustain themselves, that they're able to survive in Canada on their own. So there is a requirement to show you have a certain amount of money in the bank, or when you come to Canada, you'll have that available, so you're not dependent on anyone, because the government also cares to make sure you're not coming to a new country and stranded without any support and you don't know anyone. So it's mainly for yourself, to make sure that you can support yourself and your family. And then there's a component of that that you have to account for when it comes to applying to programs like ours. You have to be able to at least meet those requirements and pay for the program fees that cover all of the amazing things that we shared today, because there are so many people involved, so many different resources involved. All of that takes more time and resources for Spring to be able to provide quality support year round, around the clock, right? So these are things that it's not all spent in one place. It's going to so many different places to help build this bridge that helps other founders and companies come to Canada and be successful at the end of the day. So definitely there is a financial requirement for everyone to meet. We know it's a bit much, but that's how it's been working in the past. So.
And if I could also add to that, Zav, one thing that is also very unique about Spring is that, yes, we have the Impact Startup Visa arm, but the other arm of Spring under the same roof also works with impact investing. So Zab has mentioned in the beginning about, what are the events, in-person events that we can attend. This is definitely something that you should 100% take advantage of. So once you're in Canada, you're part of the Spring community, might as well take advantage of all the offerings of Spring. We do have a lot of in-person events also in the impact investing side. And this would be a great opportunity for entrepreneurs like yourself. Once you're in Canada, get familiar with that side, especially as the Impact Startup Visa program has already helped you perfect your pitch, streamline your business plan. It's time to use that pitch and business plan to start speaking with the impact investment side. And that could lead to funding or more connections or more support along the way. So this is it's something that Spring is, we're very proud of being able to provide support in that full, well-rounded entrepreneur journey.
Thank you, Lauren.
And then we have another, I thought that was the last question, but that was not. Our last question here, as we are close to time, if not at time. And Zab, I'll throw this one to you. What kind of documents are required when applying for the program?
Yeah. So that's pretty loaded question, because documents for your immigration component are very different than for Spring's application. So I'll speak about the Spring application. The documents you need for the most part is your financial projection. And as long as you can communicate how you see your business grow over the next 3 to 5 years, and you can demonstrate that in a spreadsheet or in a financial projection template, that would be sufficient for us. But sometimes people add other documents. They attach their pitch decks, they attach other supporting documents like their IELTS for the English language, just to show that they've done the test. So the more details, the better. That's what I want to make sure everybody here leaves with, understanding you can apply. You don't need a massive business document. You don't need 16 pages of business planning, but you do need to answer questions in proper paragraph formats, demonstrate that you're a smart person, that you're a human, and that you can follow our instructions. Those are really, really, really important. If you show that, you will get positive response. And then we can, as you go through the process, you'll have more questions. We can address those. For a couple of people here that asked, you can go to our website. I think we've already shared it in the chat. Read the requirements, and you can apply directly on the website. You don't need to come to our office in Toronto or in Vancouver. Please don't just drop by randomly, because we're in meetings and there's a structure to how we do business. You can certainly reach out, and if it's appropriate, we will arrange for a time and we can connect with you. But you can do all of it on your own directly through our website. So back to you, Lorraine.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Zav, to conclude us on where to find resources and how to contact us. I believe in the chat, Zav did share his LinkedIn. Do take advantage of that opportunity. And similarly, Spring, our website, has more information, and there's also contact information there as well. That does bring us over time and to the very end of our info session today. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your time with us, engaging with us, and we look forward to seeing your business, your application come through our portal. And before I end, I also do want to note, Happy New Year. We are at the end of 2023. The next time we are doing an info session is going to be in January 2024. So hopefully we'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.